Today on Sugar Spun Run, we will be making chocolate lovers kiss cookies. Hey Sugar Spun Bakers, Sam here, and today I am so excited to be sharing another carefully tested, well-researched, and perfected recipe. This one is for all of the chocolate lovers out there. It's an older recipe on the blog that was in dire need of a video, so let's go ahead and get started. The first ingredient you'll need today is 12 tablespoons of softened, unsalted butter. You'll want to drop this in a large mixing bowl, and to this, we will also be adding 1.5 cups of granulated sugar. And then we'll also need some brown sugar. You'll need a 1/2 cup of brown sugar today. You want to make sure that's firmly packed, and you can use either light or dark brown sugar. Dark brown will yield a slightly sweeter, richer cookie, but light brown works really well too, so whichever you have on hand. Next, you will want an electric mixer for this part of the recipe. We'll be creaming the ingredients together until everything is smooth and well combined. Okay, this looks pretty good. You can see the butter is well incorporated with the sugar. We don't have any lumps of either remaining. You scrape it with your spatula, it's nice and smooth. That's what I want to see. So next we can move on to the eggs, and you will need 4 large eggs for today's recipe, and I recommend they be at room temperature before you begin. Always crack them in a separate bowl before adding them to the batter. Now, you may notice my background is a little bit different today. I did not get a kitchen remodel. I am in my friend Jessica's kitchen. This is Jessica from Savory Experiments. She has graciously lent me her kitchen today, and I don't know about you guys, but I love it. So we'll add these eggs one at a time, and we'll stir until it's completely combined before adding the next one. All right, 1 down, 3 to go. Next one. So I've actually been practicing cracking eggs with one hand, not by choice. I'm always holding my 1-year-old when I'm cracking eggs these days. I'm hoping one day I'll be brave enough to crack it one-handed on camera for you guys. We'll see. Okay, the last thing we need for our wet ingredients here is our vanilla extract. You will need 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract for today's recipe. Let's add this in, a little bit more. And of course, just stir everything together until it's nicely combined. Okay, our wet ingredients are looking pretty nice. Let's set these over here. And then in a separate mixing bowl, we will combine our dry ingredients. We will be starting with 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour. And next, we'll add our cocoa powder. You'll need 1 cup of cocoa powder for today's recipe, and I recommend using a natural, sometimes people call it natural unsweetened cocoa powder. I don't love using Dutch cocoa for this recipe particularly. We'll also be adding a tablespoon, yes, that is a tablespoon, not a teaspoon, of baking powder, and 3/4 teaspoon of salt. We're just using table salt today. We'll whisk everything together until it's nicely combined. Okay, once we have our dry ingredients nicely whisked together, let's bring back our butter mixture, and we will gradually stir this dry ingredients into the butter mixture. I usually do this in 3 or 4 parts. You could do this part by hand, but the dough gets a little bit more stiff near the end, so since I have my electric mixer, we're just going to use this. Add our last bit. Mix this in. Okay, so it looks like everything's nicely combined, but just for insurance, you're going to want to grab a spatula and scrape the sides and bottom of the bowl. Make sure you don't have any clumps of flour hiding out in there. You want a nice cohesive dough. And it will be a pretty soft dough, which brings me to the bad news about this recipe. I'm sorry, but this dough does need to chill. I know it's painful, but you are going to want to chill this dough for at least 4 hours in the refrigerator before you bake the cookies. This is a great dough for making in advance. Sometimes I'll make it and I won't bake it till the next day. I'll have cookie dough ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and pop some plastic wrap on this bowl, and we will get it chilled so we can start baking. Now, about 30 minutes before you're ready to start baking your cookies, you'll want to get your oven preheating to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and make sure you have a rack arranged to the center of your oven. my dough is chilled, so we can start rolling these cookies. I'm going to be using a 1.5 tablespoon size cookie scoop. This is my favorite scoop. I will link to it in the recipe description. And I'm just going to roll level scoops of dough. And we are going to roll these between our palms and try to make them nice and smooth. And then we're going to roll them through some powdered sugar because these cookies are very chocolatey and a little bit dark chocolate in flavor right now. The powdered sugar is not going to just temper the flavor, but it is also going to make them look beautiful. So I have some powdered sugar here. Get yourself a generous portion. I usually say about 2 cups, just so you have enough. You probably don't need quite that much. And we will thoroughly roll the balls through the sugar. And then we're going to place them on a parchment paper lined baking sheet. Now, when you're spacing your cookies on your baking sheet, give them a little bit of breathing room. They're going to spread a bit, so I always like to give my cookies about 2 inches of space between them on the sheet. All right, we are about ready to pop these in the oven. In the meantime, while they're baking, make sure you unwrap your Hershey Kisses because they will need to be ready to go while the cookies are still warm. These are going to bake in your 350 Fahrenheit preheated oven in the center rack for about 10 to 12 minutes. Let's get these baking. Okay, these are looking pretty good. Now, don't panic if yours are a little bit ball-shaped still because we are going to be flattening them a bit. Now, within about a minute, 2 minutes max of pulling these out of the oven, we are going to be adding our Hershey Kisses, which is why you need them unwrapped and ready to go. You'll just take your Hershey Kiss and firmly press it into the center of each cookie. And it is important that you do this right away because the cookie is still warm, it's a little bit malleable, it will be more receptive of the Hershey Kiss, and since it's warm, it'll melt the chocolate a little bit, and then the chocolate will stick, so you won't have it falling out of the cookies later on. We're going to let these cool completely on the baking sheet before we dig into them because they'll be pretty fragile while they're still warm. So once they cool, you can go ahead and enjoy, and I think you're really going to love this one. If you try this recipe at home, please leave me a comment and let me know what you think. I always love hearing from you. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. All right, well, since I'm in my friend Jess's kitchen, I'm going to have her join me for the taste test, as well as my friend Amy from House of Nash Eats. Okay, I hope you guys don't mind warm, gooey cookies. These might get messy.
Love warm, gooey cookies.
The best kind.
You ready?
Oh, yeah.
Go for it. What do you think?
Oh, man. These are amazing.
One of my favorites.
So rich in chocolate.